Hey, you formed a limited liability company, you bought insurance, and still you could be one slip and fall away from losing everything. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 rookie mistakes that silently expose new investors and existing investors and exactly how you need to fix them. Listen, my name is Clint Coons with Anderson Business Advisors, and I have structured thousands upon thousands of doors for investors just like you. But I want to make sure your next deal is not going to be your most dangerous. So in this video, we're going to break all this down for you. All right, let's get started. Okay, guys, so here's the thing. Real protection, all right, it's a stack. It's having the right policy, it's having a clean entity, and documents that prove your separation from that entity. If you miss one, a plaintiff's attorney, they're going to go right around your structure and name you individually. So if you're thinking about putting together an LLC, or maybe you already have a limited liability company for your investment real estate, pay attention to this, because this is what gets people sued and they lose their assets. And they wonder, why didn't my plan protect me? I'll give you a perfect example before I get into the mistakes that you could be making. Recently, one of our clients, one of their properties was involved in a situation where somebody was injured. They sued the LLC. Now, the plaintiff's attorney understood this. Hey, if we can break this LLC and get at the individual, it's opened up our recovery because there was very little equity in the property and they just have a reasonable policy. So there wasn't a lot of money there, and these were greedy plaintiff's attorneys. So what they did is they tried to pierce the veil of the entity. They wanted to show, meaning this, that the owner of the entity, they weren't doing the right things, and that the court should disregard the entity and allow the plaintiff's attorney to go right after the owners. Well, our clients had to bring in all of their documents into court, and they put those up on screens, and they went through the operating agreements, and they went through the processes of how they signed documents, everything that I'm going to be sharing with you. And you know what? Our clients walked away from that. After this video, you're going to be able to do the same thing if you follow the steps that I'm going to be sharing with you. Okay, what is mistake number 1? Mistake number 1 in running your structure is what we call co-mingling, meaning this, that if I have an LLC set up here and I have my property inside of it over here and there's an expense that comes up. Well, rather than paying for the expense out of the LLC, I choose to pay for it from my personal account, okay, to cover the expense, let's say to fix an AC unit. Now, once is going to be okay. Twice, you're getting closer to that line where I'm telling you you're co-mingling your assets. You do this 3 times, now you've got real problems. You see, when you have expenses associated with the business, you need your business to be paying these expenses. I think what you could also realize is that if I've set up an LLC like this and my tenant wants to pay me rent, well, who should they be paying rent to? Well, of course, to the business itself or to a management company, not to you personally. So that could be another situation where we call commingling, which would allow someone to pierce the veil of your company. Another issue that could come up again is you just use the money that comes in. So maybe you've got a bank account set up in your LLC, the tenants are paying the LLC, and then one day you're out driving around and you see something you'd like to purchase and you pull out your LLC's checkbook and you buy something for you personally. Maybe you see a horse you decide you want to own. And so you go and you write the check for $4,000 for this horse, and it was paid for by your LLC. Now, you horse lovers, you're probably wondering, what type of horse did you get for $4,000? I know it's not going to be a nice horse. It's an old horse. So the point is, this is called commingling. It's something you need to be aware of. Now, how do we prevent that from occurring? Number 1, make sure you have a dedicated bank account here, okay, in your limited liability company. That's simple enough. Okay, also make sure you have good books and records. So you're doing a P&L and balance sheet, okay, for this LLC, for this property. So you can show someone, hey, I track all the expenses and all the income associated with that company to that property on a separate sheet. And I'm not putting everything together on one P&L and balance with all my other properties. And then make sure you're just logging all the things that you do on behalf of this particular company. So you show that where there's this line, right, where the company ends and your life begins and vice versa. So that's really important. All right, number 1 is do not commingle. Now, mistake number 2 that we run into is insurance. So this is number 2, it's insurance. Okay, you have to make sure that you set up your policy the right way. So going back to my example again, where I have my limited liability company here, this is where I see a lot of investors make a major mistake in their planning. You see, they'll listen to videos all over the internet about how you need to put your property into a limited liability company. They set up an LLC, they transfer their property in, and they figure they're good to go. But they leave their policy in their own name. Now, why is that a problem? Because if something goes wrong, then the insurer could very easily deny coverage on your claim. So if somebody was hurt here, or the house burns down, something like that, they will say, hey, you were covered, the LLC is not. So they will not cover the damage or the claim that's brought. So what do you need to do? Number one, if your LLC here holds title to the property, the LLC should be the named insured. Now, if you're concerned about the due on sale clause because you have a mortgage on this property, now you have two ways you can handle this. You could use a land trust to hold your property and put the land trust into the LLC, and then again you make the trust the named insured. That's one way we deal with the due on sale clause. Another way to do it is add your LLC as the additional insured. So by doing that, lender doesn't realize, hey, there's been a change here of ownership, because they'll still see your name on the policy, but the additional insured is the limited liability company. Now, on top of that, okay, if you're managing the property, look at whether or not there's any additional endorsements you need as the manager, okay, that mirror like an umbrella type policy. That would be good to have. Now, there are groups out there that we work with. National Real Estate Insurance Group is one of those where you can set up policies like this. I think that's really important. And then once you do set it up, let's say you did set up the LLC as the owner of the or the named insured, always name yourself as the additional insured. It just makes sense to do this. All right, you always want to be on that policy somewhere, somehow. Okay, insurance is number two. All right, number three. Third problem that we have, number three, is sloppy paperwork, okay? Paperwork. So what do I mean by sloppy paperwork? Well, it comes down to this. Listen, when you have a limited liability company set up and you have a property inside of it, and you're looking to do things on behalf of this property now, you have to start thinking the name of the business itself, LLC, and no longer your own name. So when you're dealing with third parties, you want to make sure that you're contracting with them and you're running it out of the limited liability company. So any types of contracts for that property should be between the LLC and the contractor that's coming to fix the property. It should be between the LLC and them, not you individually. This is a big mistake that we see that goes on. Or if you're accepting cash payments, right? Let's say you've got it set up with Zelle and you tell your tenants, just pay me through Zelle. Well, this kind of goes back to the commingling as well. That Zelle account, if it's in your name, well, that's going to be an issue for you. So make sure that you get that transferred over to that limited liability company so it's under the LLC's name and not you individually. Okay, sloppy paperwork's a definite problem. Number four, okay, the loan, the title of the property, moves that you do that trigger blowback. So I'm just going to call this blowback, okay, by the transfer itself. So what am I getting at here? Well, whenever you transfer property into a limited liability company, you cannot risk having your lender accelerate the mortgage. So if I set up an LLC and I want to move my rental property into this LLC via a deed, remember, always use a warranty deed. Do not use quitclaim deeds. If I'm going to move it in, this could result in the lender accelerating that 3.5% mortgage that I have on that property and push me up to a 7% mortgage. So what do we do to protect against this so we do not have blowback from our lenders with these types of transfers? Because this really screws up new investors many times. They don't understand this. So number one, go to Freddie Loan Lookup Tool or Google that. And after you do that, go to a separate browser, Fannie Loan Lookup Tool. Google that. It'll take you right to these sites. Now, when you click on that site, okay, you'll see you can put in your property address for this property right here, your last four digits of your social security number, and it'll tell you whether or not Freddie or Fannie own that mortgage. If they own the mortgage, then you can transfer that property into the LLC and they will not accelerate. Okay, so that's the first step you need to do. Now, if your property is not owned by Freddie or Fannie, then you're concerned about this right here, then what I suggest you do is first move your property into a land trust. Okay, I talked about this just a moment ago, that by using land trust, we avoid this problem with the due on sale. Put it in the land trust, but the land trust doesn't offer asset protection, so we need to move the land trust into the LLC. This aspect right here, okay, it's your first time hearing it, may be confusing for you. What did I just say? Okay, what I'm telling you is this. If you've got property and you want to move it into a limited liability company for asset protection and it has a loan on it and you don't want blowback, this is what I recommend you do. Go into the show notes, okay? Right into this video, I have a link for a free strategy session with someone here at Anderson. You'll talk to an individual, a strategist, who is very well qualified to walk you through how to set this up. We'll draw it out for you. We'll explain it in details. So just reach out to us about how to do this, because this is important. Insurance rates have gone up, and you do not want to risk having a lender accelerate it when you're putting your asset protection plan into effect because of this aspect right here. So that's mistake number 4. Now, mistake number 5. All right, and this one right here is probably the biggest mistake that leads to the greatest personal liability with business entities, and that is no formalities. Okay, no formalities. What do I mean by that? Signatures, okay, operating, OPG, operating agreements, records, the things that make up your entity, okay? This right here, this LLC, it's not just as simple as filing it with the Secretary of State. You have to do things. So here's what I would tell you. Number 1, have an operating agreement. Every entity needs an LLC operating agreement. So number 1, operating agreement. That's important. Now, I've reviewed thousands of LLC operating agreements, and I'll tell you this, it's not a one-size-fits-all. There are many times agreements create problems in and of themselves. And I'm going to be putting together another video on this where I'm detailing a operating agreement, an LLC operating agreement that has set the client up to have their veil pierced. So you want to be working with people who understand the LLC itself, so they're not putting you in a position where you get drug into court and they'll do like they did to our client, pull your LLC up and say, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And of course you say, well, no, I didn't do any of those. Well, it states in your operating agreement, you must do these on an annual basis. You're not protecting your company, it ain't going to protect you. That's the problem you run into. So you have to have a good operating agreement that's set up to protect you. Number 2, sign on behalf of the entity. All right, so if you've ever been to one of my events before, I will typically share some stories about my father. I grew up as a real estate investor family. My father's an avid real estate investor. And when I graduated from law school and I was sworn in as an attorney, the first thing my dad instructed me to do was protect his rental real estate because he did everything in his own name. So he asked me to set up LLCs. And so I put all of his properties into different limited liability companies, just like I've been talking about here. Now, the problem, and I just discovered this the other day. When I was talking to my father, I was looking at, he wanted me to look over a lease agreement that he had signed with a tenant that he's having problems with. And I look at the lease agreement. The lease did not run to the LLC. It ran to him individually. That's a problem. So when you're setting this up, if you have an LLC, like I talked about at the beginning, you need to have the LLC on the lease. But the other issue that I looked at, because I said, well, send me some of your other lease agreements. What did you do here? And I looked at the other ones. Some of them did go to the LLC, but the problem is that he always signed in his individual name. He never listed that he was a manager of this LLC. So by signing in your individual name, you're putting yourself on personally onto that agreement. So whenever you sign on behalf of your limited liability company, you need to sign either as a manager, maybe it's member manager, maybe you're set up as a president. I don't know. Your LLC will specify this. But it's critical that you do that to make sure you're protecting all of this that you've put in place. And then number 3, give it love. Okay, what do I mean by give it love? I mean, whatever you need to do on an annual basis, you should be having an annual meeting with that limited liability company to discuss its business, just to show that you're still thinking about it. Because what could happen is you go into court, somebody's suing the LLC and they want to pierce the veil. They're going to say, hey, when's the last time you thought about your LLC? What, you just set it up and you never thought about it ever again? Nope, I actually have an annual meeting. Every year we talk about the business of the LLC. It doesn't have to be long. All it has to show is that you're thinking about your company. Give the court every reason to respect your company by showing them you respect it yourself. This is what you do, number 5. Hey, I'm going to give you a bonus item here as well. Okay, with the LLCs, the bonus item is this. You do not need an umbrella policy when you set up this structure. But I would tell you this, get an umbrella. Okay, even though you have all this type of planning and you're doing it right, it's still a good idea to have an umbrella policy. One of the companies we use is National Real Estate Insurance Group for protecting ours and providing us umbrella policies. They're a great insurer for you business owners that have rental real estate. Check them out. It's just one of those things that, hey, in case something catastrophic happens, it's just that extra level of insurance. Now, if you've already got existing structures and plans in place, an LLC, and you're looking at this thing, well, I haven't done all of that. Don't worry. A lot of this can be fixed. Okay, we work with people all the time. They come to us with bad operating agreements. They haven't been running it properly. We get them into our system. We fix their operating agreement. We put them into our company assistance program where we maintain their company for them. And that really allows them to go out and focus on their high value work, which is building their real estate portfolio and not dealing with all these details that I've been laying out for you. Listen, it's important to know this because some things I can't do for you, but you need to know it, but you shouldn't be focusing on this longer term. Let someone else do it for you and focus on really makes you money. Again, I shared with you, if you want to set up a strategy session, go to the show notes. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. I really appreciate that. It helps drives up the views, of course, with YouTube. And if you know of anybody that can benefit, be sure to share it with them. Guys, I wish you the very best with your investing. Take care.